So tonight I'm reviewing a movie that I really wasn't a big fan of. It's a World War II movie that takes place in Northern Africa. Tonight's movie is named Sundown. It was made in 1941. It stars Bruce Cabot, who is pretty much well known for being in the movie King Kong, and after that isn't too well known. It also stars George Sanders, who most of you, if you've watched previous videos, know that I really like him. Tierney, a young Tierney. It also has Sir Cedric Hardwicke, who has a guest appearance at the end of the movie. And it also has Joseph Calleia, who I was actually in Algiers, which is my previous review, and I really loved him, and he was actually really good in this movie too. Now, the plot of the movie is Bruce Cabot is kind of the head guy at this British post in a small village in Africa, and they're just, doing nothing basically. And then George Sanders shows up, pretty much is kicking everybody into shape, be a good soldier, that type of thing. And then, of course, the conflict happens. They discover that the Nazis are giving weapons to an African clan so that the African clan riots against the British. Now, it sounds like a really good plot, doesn't it? But the movie was a little bit boring, to be honest, in my opinion. It was kind of a play the first hour of the movie because there wasn't a whole lot of action. A lot of the dialogue happened inside a straw hut. Tierney's character, she's supposed to be like she's half native to Africa. It was a bit unclear as to why she was in Africa. I suppose she was just trying to help out her clan and help the British fight the Nazis. And that was another thing. There wasn't a single real not German Nazi in the movie. And this was a bit disappointing because I always feel like Nazis, give more excitement to movies. So George Sanders, always good. He did what he could with the script. His acting, he's typically kind of the he acts like he's superior to everyone. He was the commanding officer, which he is superior, but his attitude and his tone of voice, that's just how George Sanders usually is in movies. Calleia was really good too in this movie. He plays an Italian POW, but he doesn't like to be called a POW because he likes to say that he gave himself up to them. And he's just real fun to watch. He showed a lot of emotion in his acting as he did in Algiers. And Bruce Cabot. Bruce Cabot is the leading male role in the movie, and he was pretty bad. Now, the reason why I think he was pretty bad is he barely had any lines in the movie, and it seems like the director did this on purpose. It's like he wanted him to say the least amount of lines as possible, and he never showed barely any expressions in the movie. He's just kind of your tough guy, He didn't bring any presence to the movie. All the other characters brought more oomph to the movie, in my opinion. And Tierney, her acting wasn't too great either. She was still young in her career, but she was definitely beautiful. She did an alright job, but Bruce Cabot was really, really poor in my opinion. And it was even funny, there was a scene where you kind of feel like Bruce Cabot and Tierney are supposed to be having a romantic scene, and there was no spark. You didn't feel any of that. In fact, in the entire movie, they never even kissed. And at the end of the movie, that you learn that they got married, and it was just pretty sloppy, their whole relationship. And the combat scenes in the movie were also, the few combat scenes were pretty comical. They're shooting the weapons, it was just sloppy. It was bad. The only interesting combat was towards the end of the movie, they start using tear gas, and I thought that was interesting. You usually don't see tear gas being used in films. But, for example, the reason why one of the combat scenes at the end of the movie, there was a huge fight. The British had beat them, and they ran to go rescue Bruce Cabot from wherever he was. And the soldier that comes up to him, he says, "Oh, hey, Bill." It's like, you just got done fighting a huge battle. You're alive, you won, and all he does is, "Hey, Bill." And it was just, I was laughing at this point. I was kind of ready for the movie to end. But all that being said, well, first, at the end of the movie, there was an interesting part where you serve Cedric Hardwicke's character. He's playing the preacher. He gives a speech, and it's definitely a pro-expansion speech, saying these soldiers are risking their lives for God and for country, trying to bring religion to Africa. So it was definitely pro-expansion. Just an interesting thing to see at this day and age, where usually expansion into Africa and other countries is frowned upon. But all being said and done, the movie was a little bit enjoyable to watch. The entire movie, though, you were kind of hoping that it would get better, but it really didn't get any better. The music was great. The composer Miklos Rozsa, who is well-known, very well-known, just because he did the music for Ben-Hur, for Quo Vadis, for Spellbound. His music was really good for the movie. I mentioned a lot of flaws, but in my opinion, the biggest flaw was just Bruce Cabot, and it was just a poor story, really. But I'm gonna give this movie 1.5 stars. The reason why I give it 1.5 stars, because as I said, it was enjoyable to watch. But let me know what you thought. Maybe you liked it. Give me the reasons why you liked the movie below. But yeah, have a good night, guys. I hope to see you in my next video.